So Siltech started in 1983. It was started by two students that didn't have the money to pay for expensive hi-fi, so they bought some things and tried to experiment with cables. They found in those days that silver was the best conductor and gave them the best results. They shopped around and found a Swiss company that had fantastic high purity silver in those days, and that kind of jump-started the Siltech company. In about 3, 4, 5 years, it was sold in 20 countries. In the moment we have more than 50 countries where we sell Siltech. I joined the company in 1992, and when I did that, because of my background in electronics and in research, I set up a research program. And that program we are still using today. Out of this research, you get a couple of results. You do not get away with lower quality ingredients. And luckily we always did that. We always used the best materials that we could get. For that reason also we're in contact with many laboratories that do special things. Like now, currently we are working with a lab to make a metal-based insulator. That's a new technology. We are trying to produce this on a scale that we can use it for all our cables. And if that's successful, we will reach another level. If that will take another year or 5 years or 10 years, we just don't know. But that has been our progress over the years. Our cables don't change very often, usually between 7 and 10 years before we change the models. That is very long for hi-fi, but we get away with it because of the quality. And that has paid off. It makes the cable a little bit more expensive, but you can use it way longer than many other brands. If you look on the used market, the highest price is paid for Siltech cables. They pay sometimes up to half the new price 30 years later, which is quite exceptional. There are not many brands that can match that. The precision of making the mechanics is a very important factor. We have a lot of little machines for stripping. We have ultra precise machines. Why are they so good? They don't cut into the wire if they strip. They don't put force on the conductor. They don't deform the conductor. If people do that by hand, they accidentally usually damage the wire. That is highly critical. But other processes like twisting, we have a twisting machine that does certain parts, especially built for us. It's ultra precise. It has a gearbox, also with a high precision, but certain other parts like splitting cables, like making the ends of a loudspeaker cable, like the termination part, have to be done by hand. The devil is in the detail of making a good product. Why do we have production only in Holland and not like a lot of companies in low-cost countries where people do it for very low salary? Because everything is so close here. The research and the production and the listing room is all together in one company. And that is very helpful, so we can do things very fast. And after all this fine-tuning over years, now our products are very stable and work in almost every situation, which I think is very important. So Siltech is not only about cables. Not everybody knows we have a long history in electronics as well. The first amplifier under the Siltech brand name, that was the SEPA amplifier. It was a mono-triode of high power and it was extremely reliable. So the only thing we did, I think we had 5 tubes that had to be replaced in 25 years. And it was so successful, a lot of people asked, why don't you make a preamp to match it? That took us years to make a similar quality preamp, which is the Saga C1. And the C1 is also triode based with ultra low noise, similar to very, very good transistor equipment. It also had a very low level of microphonics, which usually is bothering tube electronics. Siltech's first loudspeaker was the Pantheon, and the Pantheon also did a lot of things that were not done before. We are not a typical loudspeaker manufacturer or electronics manufacturer, but we have all the capabilities. So if we do it, it has to be really different than what anyone else does. And not different to be different, but because we think we can do something better. That's our goal. So one of the latest designs has been an ultra loudspeaker, you could call it. This loudspeaker, we did everything we know today about acoustics. So our thought was, of course, what if we have total freedom to make what we want, and that there are no limits, no restraints for the engineers here. So we came up with these big loudspeakers, and we used a lot of research papers that we have. Big loudspeakers create big problems in rooms. That's a known fact for every hi-fi seller. Because when they have the bigger speakers, suddenly it sounds bigger, but it excites a lot of room resonance, it creates more problems. But if you have a grand piano, you never have that problem. But if you have a bass player recording in your room, very often it goes wrong because it excites the room resonance. So my question was, why do real instruments not do that, and why do big loudspeakers do that? My conclusion was it has to do with the movement. What does that mean? You need a lot of surface area. So this was one of the things that resulted from studying musical instruments and bringing that in line with all kind of technical knowledge that we have. So after 40 years of Siltech, we're quite proud at the level that we achieved. We are the reference to many people, the kind of standard in cables. And of course we have to maintain that, and we have to work really hard to keep on top, because that's not easy, because everybody's trying. That's the thing about hi-fi, it's never good enough, there's always room for improvement, and we'll keep improving as long as we can.